Hey there guys, this is part 2 of the video on how to land a job. First part I talk quickly about how to make a resume, common things people do wrong, things you should try to do, and in part 2 of the video I'm going to talk about how to get an interview. My strategies are unconventional and they are things that I developed myself. No one told me how to do this, I just kind of figured it out and it's worked really well for me. So I wanted to kind of tell you guys how to do it. So you have your resume and you're ready to start spamming it everywhere, right? Well, hold up a minute. So the first thing I recommend doing is thinking for a second about a recruiter's needs. So, and kind of how their day operates. So if you're a recruiter, chances are you've heard the old thing that the recruiters have piles and stacks of resumes on their desks all day long, right? So you want to get in front of that pile. And there are two ways you can do it. One way is way that I'm not really going to talk about a whole lot, but it's pretty self-explanatory. It's go find companies that aren't on the major job boards, littler companies, Google them and call them up and say, hi, do you have any job openings? It's a little more time consuming, but if you find a company that has a job opening, it won't be published anywhere else, and I guarantee no one else picked up the phone and called them, so you'll kind of be the only person there. So that's one way to do it. The second way is a faster way, I think. Go to Indeed. I don't know, I just prefer Indeed. And then you can save your searches. So you'll have a search saved for marketing analysts. That's been our example. So what you're going to want to do is sort that job search by time. The default is it sorts by relevance, but what you want to do is sort by time. So instead of applying to a job that's 3 days old and already has 20 applicants, you apply to a job that's 3 hours old and only has 5. Or you apply to the job, 30 minutes after it comes out. People, that's the best thing to do, because as soon as a recruiter hits publish, they're going to be watching it and watching the resumes come across. And if you're in the first few, you're going to get looked at. But we're actually not even going to be submitting our resume. So what you want to do is you want to find companies who just posted those positions. So say that you find a position that was posted within the last hour and it looks awesome. Oh wait, let me back up for a second. So you need to look at this every day, because you're not sorting by relevance, you're sorting by time. So you need to spend some time every day, a couple minutes looking at this. And there's an app for your phone, so it should be pretty easy. What I would then do is, after you sort by relevance, every time you're finished looking for the jobs, click on the hyperlink that's at the very top of the page. Go back to page 1 and click that first job hyperlink. That'll turn that hyperlink from blue to purple, and it's almost like a little bookmark. So then the next day when you go into Indeed and you sort by new and you're looking at them, you can just look through all the jobs until you hit the first purple hyperlink, and then you know you've looked at everything and you haven't missed anything. So that was another tip that I've kind of developed. Now back to the good stuff. So once you find a company that's hiring for a position you want, you're going to read the position, obviously. Then instead of just shooting your resume over, which is what most people do, you should then research as much as you can about that company. So spend a couple minutes, spend 5-6 minutes reading about the company, thinking about it, thinking about how the position would mesh inside the company, and then you want to develop a couple questions. And this is the key. So you want to develop a couple questions that you have good answers to, regardless of how they respond to your question. So, and these need to be thoughtful questions related directly to the position. So for example, if I'm a marketing analyst, and it says, I'm going to be communicating with upper management some and sending them reports. One question I might say is, before I submitted my application, I was wondering, how much frequency will I be interacting with upper level management? Because there's a big difference between sending them a report once a month and being in constant communication with them, on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. So you could ask a question like that. Now, I just came up with that off the top of my head. It may not be the best one. So you could ask them that, and then they're going to answer you and say, two things. Either you are going to be communicating a lot with the exec, or you're not going to be communicating that much. And what you say is, okay, great, to either one of those things. You just need to be, okay, perfect. And then the next sentence that you say is one that talks about you and makes you look good. So if they say, yeah, you're going to be talking to them, once a week or 2 times a week, what you can say is, okay, great. Yeah, that's one thing I'm really good at. I love communicating with people. And I find that when you stay in constant contact with these people, with the executives, it's easier to kind of tailor the reports to their needs and make sure they get what they want. Where if I do it on a monthly basis, it takes a little bit longer to kind of learn how they like to see stuff. So that could be kind of a quick example of your answer. So what does that make you do? It makes you look thoughtful. It makes you look good, and it'll show the recruiter that you didn't just spam your resume out to them. You haven't even sent them your resume. And so I kind of jumped ahead of myself a little bit. But so after you come up with your couple questions related to the company culture or the position, then you do not apply. Do not send your resume to them. You're going to call them up. So you call them up and you say, hey, can I talk to the hiring manager, or can I talk to the recruiter in charge of this position? And the receptionist is going to be like, you can go online and apply. And you're going to be like, no. Hang on. I had I was calling. I just saw the position, and I thought it seemed like a really great fit for my skills, but I had a couple quick questions before I applied, and I didn't want to, clog up the guy's inbox with a bunch of paperwork and stuff he had to sift through if I wasn't going to be a good fit. So I just have a quick question I need to ask him about the position. And then they're going to be like, oh, no one's ever asked me this before. Yes, let me send you through to him or her. So then you'll talk to the recruiter, and then you say the same thing to the recruiter. Hey, I was looking for jobs, and I came across your job position, and it seems like it'd be an excellent fit with my skill set. I did have a couple questions about the position, though. Do you mind if I didn't want to clog up your email with a bunch of resumes and paperwork that wasn't really applicable if I didn't have to. So can I ask you a question about the position? And they're going to be like, oh, yes, sure. And so then you ask them. And when you ask them your question, it just so happens that your questions are conveniently crafted to make you look good regardless of how they answer. So basically, you can ask questions that actually matter, like what's the work-life balance of this, but I recommend just asking questions that are good questions, but that allow you the platform to give your little elevator pitch about yourself in your areas of expertise. So say in their job position, in their posting, they said that, attention to detail is really important. If you could figure out a way how to craft a good question where, regardless of the answer, you can talk about how you're very organized and have meticulous attention to detail, and it's really good to answer your question that way because you're very organized, then that's a win. That's a big win. So after you ask your couple questions and you kind of sell yourself in this time, then you are going to, guess what? You're not going to go apply. You're going to ask them if you can email them your resume. So you kind of short circuit the whole process. You skip all the people that were in line. You send it directly to their inbox, and they're gonna read it because you just talked to them. So what you can say is something kind of along the lines of, okay, cool. So this position sounds amazing. Thanks for answering my questions. I'm really interested in it, and I think my skill set would be kind of perfect for a position like this. Seriously. So, what's your email? Give me your email address, and I'll shoot you over an email with my resume in it and my contact details, and then we can set up a time to go through and maybe sit down for a little bit and talk more about the position. You say this. but wait, that's like me setting up my interview. Exactly. So you can do this, and it works. It works so good. So they'll give you their email, and then what you do is you attach your resume, you send it over. You already know that you're going to be a good fit for the position, and you should have confidence that they're going to want to interview you because you've tailored your resume to match what they're looking for, and you've researched the company and you know enough about it that it's going to be a good fit. And then so you send it over, and in your email you say, hey, thanks for taking the time to answer some of my questions. I'm really excited about this position. What time works best for you next week? I can come in for 30 minutes. We can sit down, talk a little bit more about the position and what I have to offer. Woo! You just you just gave yourself an interview, and it works like a charm. When I did it, you can actually add scarcity. You want to make yourself seem like you're in demand. So what you can do, and I was not being unethical. When I was doing this, I lived in North Carolina and I was interviewing in Ohio. So I was only going to be up 1 week. What did this do? This provided my time. My time was constrained. It was scarce. So they had to fit me in, and it made it seem like I was really in demand, which was true. So what I told him was, hey, I'm going to be up in Ohio for a week. That's all I've got. And I've already got interviews scheduled on Tuesday. And on Thursday, I'm pretty much booked up the whole day talking to a couple different companies. I do have some time on Wednesday morning if you'd like to talk to me then. I think I got to go Wednesday afternoon to talk to another company, but Wednesday morning I should be able to sit down and meet with you. So you can pretty much do that, but in a way where you're not traveling, of course. So basically it's trying to... What is scarce is more in demand. So if a bunch of companies are already interviewing you, it's social proof that you are worthy to be interviewed. So I'm not recommending that you lie and say you're meeting with all these companies, but try to think of ways where you can, make yourself seem in demand. So those are kind of my best tips on how to circumnavigate the lines, the crowds of mobbed people trying to get a job, and how to cut right to the source immediately and set up your own interview. And it's worked for me, and I hope that this video is helpful. In the next video, I'm going to talk about how I interview and some interview skills that you can use to make sure you do really good, make a good first impression, and land the job. Thank you.